In the early history of the galaxy, the powers of the warp had yet to form into distinct intelligent entities. At this time, the emotions of sentient mortals flowed and ebbed as water does in a stream. As the intelligent mortal species of the galaxy grew and prospered, so did the strength of their emotions. Eventually, the entities within the warp grew to such a point where they could act independently of the general flow of emotions, and thus became the gods of chaos. They reached into the dreams of mortals and demanded praise and servitude in order to increase their power, and the more one emotion is exhibited in both thought and action by a large group of sentient beings in the physical universe, the stronger that chaos god becomes. The warp, also known as the immaterium, is the mirror of reality, a churning sea of raw psychic energy fed by the emotions of every creature of the galaxy who hopes, hates, and dreams. It is a place of metaphor and madness that can never be perceived or understood except through symbols and subjective interpretation. The strange powers of psychers of all kinds flow from the warp, the psycher's mind acting as a channel for the warp to affect reality. It is also the warp that allows mankind and many other races to travel the vast distances of space. Starships move through the warp, guided by navigators bred to perceive and read the tides of psychic energy. All this was known in the time of the Emperor's Great Crusade, but it was only half the truth. Vast formations of psychic energy, storms of dark emotion, persistent notes in the symphony of existence, all descriptions fall short of the true nature of the powers of the warp. Powerful beyond mortal comprehension, parasitic and destructive, they are the ruinous powers, the pantheon of lies, the primordial annihilators. These utterly alien entities hunger for the mortal realm, even though it is fundamentally poisonous to their nature. They can extend their power into reality, expend power to influence mortals, corrupt physical existence, and even send portions of themselves to walk amongst mortals as entities called demons, whose appearance and character reflect their patron god's nature. To truly affect reality, they must use mortal creatures of flesh and blood. To such servants, they can give powers beyond imagining, offering the coin of the impossible in exchange for eternal slavery. To many humans, such an exchange may seem the only way to escape from the pain of life, or to achieve their heart's desire, and in the superstitions and beliefs of the past, the Chaos Gods wait for the vain, the suffering, the wrathful, and the desperate. The Imperial Truth once strangled the beliefs and practices in which the Chaos Gods lurked. It hid the truth because the Emperor believed that such deliberate ignorance was the only way to protect mankind from the predations within the warp. This is because he knew that these entities were created and sustained by the emotions and collective desires of every sentient being of the material universe. When an emotion or belief in real space grew strong or widespread enough, it became embodied as one of the sentient denizens of the warp. The most powerful and most malevolent of these have become the gods of chaos, also called the dark gods or the ruinous powers, monomaniacal and completely single-minded beings formed entirely of a single emotion or concept. Since they were dependent upon the emotions of mortal creatures for their power and continued existence, they strive to convert all mortals to their worship and service so that they may ultimately dominate the universe. However, if they were to win such a dark victory, it would likely destroy all of reality when the dimensional separation between real space and the immaterium broke down. It then goes without saying that the Chaos Gods and the forces of chaos that serve them are the greatest threat to the Imperium of man, the Eldari, and most other sentient forms of life in the galaxy. In the warp, the psychic reflection of similar thoughts and emotions gathered together like rivulets of water running down a cliff face. They form streams and eddies of anguish and desire, pools of hatred, and torrents of pride. Since the dawn of time, these tides and waves of psychic energy have flowed unceasingly through the mirror realm of the warp, and such is their power that they forge creatures made of the very stuff of dreams and nightmares. Eventually, these instinctual formless entities gained a rudimentary consciousness of their own, and the most powerful Chaos Gods were born, vast psychic presences composed of the fantasies and horrors of mortals. First among them is Khorne, the Lord of Battle, possessed of towering and immortal fury. Tzeentch, the bizarre and ever-changing architect of fate, weaves powerful sorceries to bind the future to his will, whilst great Nurgle, the Lord of Decay, labours endlessly to spread infection and pestilence. The last of their number is Slaanesh, the Dark Prince of Chaos, indulgent of every pleasure and excess, no matter how immoral or perverse. As the intelligent species of the galaxy prospered and grew, so too did their hopes and ambitions, their angers and wars, their love and hatred. This burgeoning flood of raw emotion fed the Chaos Gods and nurtured their power. Before long, the gods reached back to their makers with a curious and hungry sentience, planting seeds of corruption in the souls of those whose dreams they passed through. So were the first mortals bound to the will of the ruinous powers, and seeing the fruits of their labors, the gods began their eternal work to influence the physical realm and its myriad of sentient races. Lured by promises of extraordinary power and immortality, some mortals serve the Chaos Gods willingly, fomenting misery, war, and death amongst their people, in order to sustain and elevate their masters. Yet the Chaos Gods are fickle, prone to reneging or altering a deal on a whim, and few of these worshippers are ever granted the rewards they seek. As the Chaos Gods battle in the warp, their mortal followers wage war in the material universe. The victors of battles earned more power for their master, though the twisted plans of the Chaos Gods are such that often victory is not necessary, merely the acts of sacrifice and war themselves. When devotees of Chaos die, their souls do not fade into the warp and disappear like the spirits of others to some unknowable fate. Instead, their immortal energy is swallowed into the greatness of their gods, their souls sustained forever, bound to the eternal power of chaos. As a Chaos God gathers such energy, it expands in power, and its influence and territory within the warp's realm of chaos grows. And as extensions of the gods, the appearances of these domains are formed upon the same emotion that created their masters. Khorne's realm is founded on anger and bloodletting. Tzeentch's lands are dazzling constructs of pure magic. Nurgle's territory is a haven of death and regeneration, and Slaanesh's dominion is a paradise of damning temptations. Though realm and god are as one, the Chaos Gods each have a form that embodies their personalities and dwells at the very heart of their territories. Wreathed in unearthly power, they watch over the realms, seeking any disturbances in the patterns of the warp that signal intrusion or opportunity. With the opening of the Great Rift at the end of the 41st millennium, the demonic incursions that have plagued the galaxy since time immemorial escalated in both scale and frequency. A new era of terror and bloodshed was ushered in by that galaxy-spanning tear in the fabric of reality, and the armies of the Chaos Gods, mortal and demon alike, began to conquer and consume the worlds of humanity and the alien races with unprecedented impunity. Had the Chaos Gods worked in unison in the wake of that terrible event, it is certain that real space would have been utterly consumed by the sprawling madness of the warp. Yet, true to their nature, the Dark Brothers saw the anarchy as an opportunity to fulfill their own agendas, to kill, change, pollute, and bathe in excess. Luckily, divided, they are unable to fully overcome the fierce resistance of the galaxy's inhabitants. The Imperium of Man, the largest single empire in the galaxy, has been galvanized by a new breed of warrior in humanity's defense, the Primaris Space Marines, and they do not know fear. The older intelligent species of the galaxy, such as the Eldari and the Necrons, also continue to exhibit a stubborn refusal to bow down before the Chaos Gods, while new species like the Tau have been gaining a greater understanding of the realm of chaos with each passing day. The barbaric Orcs are only incited by the surging conflicts around them, and greet the prospect of battle against the demonic legions with the same reckless enthusiasm they always have. The intergalactic devourers, known as the Tyranids, regard the immaterial demons with a special distaste, seeing them only as undigestible threats to the biomass they wish to consume. So the ultimate battle for the galaxy continues, the Chaos Gods and their legions threatening to annihilate everything, including each other, in their eternal quest for dominance. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying our dive into Warhammer 40k lore. Join us next week for our follow-up to this, exploring the 4 major Chaos Gods in more detail, as well as the great game of domination they play.